All right, here we are. It's going to take a minute for everybody to kind of get in here.
You want to share the link?
Yeah, I'll share it here in a minute.
I'm going to put it in my server real quick.
All right, everybody. So welcome to the Snowbirds meeting room. We're doing things a little bit different today. We also lost one of our normal guests. King Payne isn't with us today. He is working currently. So it is just me, Voidwalker Joe, Shadow Spectre 11, and Zook Zimimi today.
Cheers.
Today, what we're doing different is we're actually going to be watching the ISC on, called Mission to Module, which was last Thursdays. And we'll kind of go over it together, and we'll pause it, talk about it. If anybody has any questions, let us know in chat. And we'll do our best to answer them. So we'll give it a minute here to let people kind of pop in.
So, what progress have y'all made? Well, while we're waiting for people to hop in, what progress have y'all made in 3.18 so far, if anything?
It's one of those situations where if I do end up getting 2 steps forward, I get 4 steps back. So.
Oh,
yeah.
that bad. Okay.
Yeah, it's I always get I get somewhere and I get super optimistic, and then just a bunch of bugs come out of nowhere. So, yeah, it's one of those things where I'm just waiting for CIG to really kind of get in there and fix some of this stuff.
I've managed to do some drug smuggling, and I've been pretty successful with it. I think I'm up to 2.8 mil-ish.
He's been making money left and right. Me, I've been having all sorts of stuff going on, and I've lost a lot of AUEC, and then I would get some, so I started doing the regular box missions to start.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, you get to the higher tier box missions, you're going to go down to the outpost, and you're going to get jacked if you're not watching. The NPCs, they're not playing around. They're rough.
No, that's a fact.
And actually, that's good. That's some good progress on the AI. So can't complain, but you better be prepared when you go down there.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of bunker missions when I can, and they're very responsive, and they're on 7 FPS servers, and they were doing really good for me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I think the places that they didn't work, these were Microtech bunkers too, but the places that they didn't work though were the derelicts on the same servers. For some reason, they did not want to work very well.
But that's interesting. The Microtech ones were really good in 317 branch. They were hopping over boxes, they were hiding, they were sliding. And the reports that I've been getting lately is that if you do not have a silencer on your weapon, they hear that report, they're going to investigate.
Yeah, that is a fact. That's why I started in like 360. They were doing it earlier than that, believe it or not. That's why I've always carried silencers on my stuff. But like, what you gotta keep in mind in 316, 315, we were operating on servers that had a take rate of like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we was operating on. So like the fact that they're running on 6 or 7 frames per second, and that's a server that's dying, by the way. a server that's relatively fresh or new is like 10 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. If they see you, they're gonna have a problem with you.
And
I keep
don't turn on your flashlight because they will see
Did
it.
they see the lights? You sure?
Yeah.
well,
You turn that light on, you're a target, man.
you know what
Maybe I need to do some more bunkers for that, Jim.
You know what I think is a bad idea? Having those lasers on the laser pointers on your weapon. Whether you're going against NPCs or not, especially if you're doing PvP, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah,
because everybody's going to see that. They're going to know you're coming around the corner.
It is.
It's terrible.
It absolutely is. It's a terrible idea. That's one thing I don't really get. Like they even in real life they sell like the little red laser light pointer pieces.
Yeah.
It's like you don't see the light as it's traveling through the air. Like you see it on the target, and if you actually look at military gear, they use a different wavelength of light that's not visible with human eyes.
Yeah.
So you have to use like a certain overlay or a certain headpiece to see that light.
Well,
that way they're not giving away your position.
I think if they're being there are lasers that have like a solid beam. I have a couple of them myself, but I feel like the idea behind it is either one, they're selling it for the cool factor, right? Like, ooh, put it on your gun, it's gonna be like the movies or whatever. For just people that are, whatever, right? And then you have the scare factor of it. It's scary if you're a home invader, if you're coming in to like break into someone's house and all of a sudden you see a fucking laser sight on your clothing or something, like that's scary. That would scare the shit out of me because for a fact that thing is aimed right at you, and I mean, it's I think that's maybe why they got him, but
you don't see the light on you.
Yeah, you do. I mean, well, at least the lasers that I have.
I mean, if you look down, but generally speaking, if you're
okay,
I mean, if you do something,
I have lasers where you see the entire beam.
I'll have to see that one.
When I went to what I did was I went to Thailand, right?
Okay.
And back when I was in the Navy, and they were selling these like fucking ridiculous lasers, right? And that's essentially what they did, right? They're just fucking cool to have, super overpowered. You can buy them in the States too. You can buy them online. But yeah, they have.
Oh, they're just like really, really high power lasers or something.
Yeah, they can set things on fire essentially.
Oh yeah,
they're very very hot. But I mean, obviously you wouldn't put that. I mean, you could put that on your gun, but it's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you see that beam, it's gonna scare the shit out of you. So I mean, I guess I could like if I didn't have a gun, I could like shine that at somebody trying to break in and try to scare them. But I don't know. Whatever. But I just thought it was stupid to have in like when they had that as like the monthly like sub flare. I was like, why would you have that? That's gonna give away your position at like fucking Korea or Jumptown.
Yeah. It absolutely is. It'll mark you as a player, not as an NPC. Right?
Yeah.
It'll mark you in every sense of the term. Right? So it makes no sense to me to use that type of thing. It is strategically not useful in any way.
Yeah.
Well, there's an update from Xylo.
Go ahead and read it.
I don't know if you want me to.
Oh, by the way, everybody, for anybody that's watching, there is a hot fix coming out here. What, in like 2 hours, maybe less than that?
Maybe.
Should address some of the bigger issues that we're facing. So,
okay, this one went to Reddit. Okay, I'd like to give a little bit of extra detail on this one. Our plan is to roll out a few fixes shortly after our Evocati testers to Evocati. Okay, because these fixes are client side, they'll simply continue to connect to the same live environment. as everyone else. No PTU necessary. If testing with the Evocati goes well, then we'll roll out these fixes to everyone else in the days ahead. Separately, the team is continuing to hammer away at 3.18.1, which we hope will provide more relief for some of the major outstanding issues. We're working to get that one out as quickly as possible. We will keep you updated.
Okay.
And then Dev Tracker, no update in 4 days. Okay, it's the same one.
It's the same thing. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yep. So that is what's going on right now. Evocati's going to get a crack at it, and then hopefully it'll come out to us.
All right, so we got to wait a little bit longer. That's fine as long as they fix stuff.
Okay.
All right, so for anybody that's just now joining us, I know a couple people just hopped in. We are doing things a little bit differently this time. I'm not going to be really asking too many questions, but what we are going to be doing is watching the actual ISC together. So if you haven't watched it yet, stick around and ask questions in the chat. We'll answer them. We will be pausing the video and go over our thoughts for what's happening. So Zook Shadow.
By the way, sorry, there's no ship of the week this week. Mike is out.
Yes.
So just letting you know.
Yep, that too. So Mike will be with us hopefully next week. But yeah, if you guys have anything to say about what we watched, just let me know and I'll pause it. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead, start it. Oh, and for anybody out there that's watching, if audio is way too loud or anything, let me know. I can turn it down.
Hey, before we get on to the normal business of Inside Star Citizen this week, we wanted to take a moment and recognize and acknowledge what's currently happening with the live gameplay experience. Obviously, anyone that's been following the project for any period of time knows that running a live gameplay environment throughout the process of development is an unusual, sometimes trying, but often rewarding experience. But it's not just the tremendous work of our developers that make this possible. It's also the continuing commitment of you, our players, that allow us to test things at scale. Because it's often easy to forget that with the hype and excitement of a new release, that every level of Star Citizen is a development and testing platform, even the live alpha. Now, even knowing that the launch of Alpha 3.18 was going to be rougher than normal, I think it's fair and safe to say that we were all hoping for a somewhat smoother experience than the one that you have been finding the last week. Now, while I'm going to continue pointing you to the amazing efforts of our platform team, the player experience team, and especially the community team in updating you on the continuing progress through the website and socials, because quite frankly, they're far more plugged into those things than I am and will have much better information than I ever will. We did feel it was important to acknowledge the current state of things at the top of this show, whose story was set weeks and months before. I said it on SCO, and I'll say it again here. We don't just share in the victories with each and every one of you. We're often right there with you with the same thoughts and the same feelings about our disappointments. We're sorry for the rough launch, but I hope you can see the determination and the dedication of those people working to improve things in the improvements that are being made each and every day this week, and will continue until we get things where we want them to be. So with that said, let's get started with this week's show.
Can you stop for a second?
Go ahead.
Was heartfelt.
I think it was genuine, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate Jared doing that. Most would have went right to the subject. So it was good.
Yeah, I mean, CIG doesn't really come out and say, hey, we're sorry. You know, I can't remember a time where they have. Mm-hmm. I mean, they always kind of explain stuff, but what's up, Melon Pan and
hey.
Vanish?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, that's usually in the letters from the chairman. where they can put the apology in like paragraph 10.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they're putting it top of the video on video in Word shows like A, it was that bad, and B, they're at least they're acknowledging it definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I like.
I'm good.
Jared is the savior. When anything happens, he usually he's such a good guy. He actually comes out. He cares. He's so excited about everything, and I love seeing him excited. But it seems like every time he gets excited, right, there's always something that happens right after that people get disappointed about, and I'm like, God. Jared, he's just, he's over there having a good time, and then things kind of go to shit sometimes, and then he's left to clean stuff up and say sorry and come out with the genuine feelings, and it's like, man, like, it almost feels like people are shitting on him, even though they're not, but it's just like, damn, like.
I don't know if y'all been paying attention to it or not, but they're regular developers, other developers, they've been in the chats and the special chats and the forums recently, and they've been very active.
Yeah.
And not just talking about content, but like laughing and joking and commiserating with us as well. Like it's a good change of pace. And I don't know if they just said, okay, fine, we need, I don't know where that came from. Maybe they're just so busy that they're not keeping the leash on them long that tight. But it's been very nice. I've been very happy with that.
Yeah, me too. I think it's needed. I feel like there might have been something like that CIG might have said in the past. It was like, hey, you guys need to really like control yourselves when you guys are on there. That might have scared people away for a while, but I'm glad they're on there now, saying some stuff.
Universe in December 2015, mission gameplay has been at the center of the Star Citizen experience. Whether that's doing someone a favor and investigating a few ICC probes, delivering an important package from one planet to the next, or infiltrating a gang of would-be ne'er-do-wells in efforts to keep Stanton safe, missions often push players forward into areas they might not otherwise have discovered and pull them deep into the scandalous underbelly of the star system. And over the years, through the work of the mission feature team, missions have continued to evolve into a modular system that allows for designers anywhere in any studio to create missions not in the weeks and months of 2015, but in the mere days of 2023. So on this week's Inside Star Citizen, let's learn a bit more about how that modular system works, the technical complexities that make it possible, and take a peek at some of the new modules currently in development for Alpha 3.19 and beyond. Go ahead, you can do it.
I can do it.
Missions matter. No, missions modules. Elliot Maltby.
Mission modules. You're at scene 5.
Mission modules. Lars, scene 5. Always wanted to do that.
I'm going to get one for our podcast.
The early days, everyone was just coming up with missions, right?
What we used to have to do is have a bespoke mission for every mission we had.
Someone might have built it to act this way, and then another person might have built it to act this way, but in a completely different way.
So one person would start like a delivery mission, would have to write it from beginning to end, and then some other person would write a bounty mission from beginning to end, and then another delivery mission, again, from beginning to end. And the problem with that situation was that everyone wrote their scripts differently.
Each mission, while might have similarities, every bit of logic was different in some way.
We are a game that constantly evolves, that constantly gets updated, so things break sometimes.
We used to get bugs back, which
Hang on a second.
That when we enter the...
I did want to point out something real quick.
Yeah.
When I first heard that, where they said they were building the missions and the modules differently to begin with, back when they had different teams running each one of them.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It did feel like that. Because, like, for example, you'd have some missions that were running smoothly.
It definitely did, yeah.
And some that were always just broken, and the community just kind of knew, we don't play that mission. That mission's broken, right?
Yeah.
That's very disappointing whenever I to hear them acknowledge it, and because that's sort of an obvious. At least I feel like that would be like an obvious mistake to make. But it does make me happy that they're acknowledging it as a mistake now. Like they're talking about it in terms of we messed up. We're not doing that anymore. Let's talk about what we're doing, and it does prime me well for what's coming up.
Well, I'm just glad that they acknowledged it. You know what I'm saying? It shows now they're starting to communicate with each other, and they should have been before, but now it's getting better. So I did notice in some of the missions that I have done in 318, they're working a hell of a lot better than they were before. So
I wonder if that was intentional though. Like I wonder if that sometimes you make in software development you make a test case, a example case situation, and there may have been something in the core tech that wasn't in the game yet, where it forced him to build those missions individually from the ground up, each one by themselves. There might have been something like that.
Well, they might not had the modularity tool that they have now.
Because they had to make that themselves, So,
and that's one thing that I'm not aware of. I haven't seen that on the progress tracker. At least I've missed it if it's there. And if that's the case, it's cool that it's fixed. Either I'm happy that it's there, and I'm happy that they're doing it, what I would say, quote unquote, right in the future.
Is that better, Mike? Let me know. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
I was going to say, Payne says you're quiet.
The volume I have for both of you guys is essentially the Discord volume. So,
you can't hear me now?
Yeah, I turned it all the way up because I was essentially pretty
I can hear you both.
I can hear everything fine. Okay. Cool.
Payne says we're good.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks, Joe.
Cool. Yeah, I'm disappointed that as this being like a live service game for as long as it has, that they wouldn't have had this kind of built sooner. I mean, but I don't know how they went about all of this in the past. I don't know if they thought they would be able to get away with doing it the old way, for as long as they have, or, in the future. But, I mean, I'm glad that they finally have the tool built to where they could actually give us the missions now. So at least we're going to get them now and not later,
Yeah.
So that's good. I mean, I didn't know about that. I thought they would have already had that as like a modular system already. So to hear that this is like a fairly new thing, I'm like, oh, I kind of wish you didn't tell me that. Now I'm disappointed. I thought this was a thing a long time ago, but you guys just now did it. But okay, sure. I'm glad we have it, I guess.
It's like Mike is saying in the chat. Probably building profiles and waited on some stuff for a long time. Yeah. They had to make the tool. But you'd think that they would have had the tool a long time ago, but
I think your webcam froze there, Shadow.
Yeah, it did. I can see it. But
yeah.
At least it froze with a good picture.
It looked like he's kind of rolling his eyes a little bit, like.
I'm not saying that's pretty, atypical Shadow right there.
It's a beautiful image. Okay. Don't know why.
Everybody in the chat make fun of Mike Payne for not being on the show today.
I'm just gonna say it. Okay.
Yeah, that's his. I'm just gonna say it face.
Yeah, right. I'm not gonna be on the show, but I'm gonna be in the chat for sure.
Uh-oh. We'll wait for Shadow to get his thing back here.
My internet just okay. I'm back up now. Give me a sec. What the hell is going on?
No, I think I'm pretty glad that they're about to go into the modules and make them more of a flowing thing. I'm kind of. I wish I could ask one of the developers. If I could ask them one question about this topic, I would ask them: was the missions the way they were developed and built before? Was the intention for it to be built that way for the final game, or was that always intended to be a placeholder? That would be a quick question to ask if I ever had a developer in front of me. But I just a thought I had.
It would be, God, I would love this if they would. So how they had Anna Demetriou on the live, right? And she's like a streamer. It would be great if they could have, even if it was just the big streamers, if they could have the big streamers at least come on the show and actually talk with Jared, or even some of the developers there, and get the chance to ask the questions, the big questions, right? That, because they have the same questions that we do, and so it'd be kind of here because they have they're the link between us, the little guys, and CIG essentially. So I think it'd be cool to get them on and to talk with CIG in camera. So if I was to actually, because right now I don't care for their live show too much. I don't really want to sit down and listen about their normal, I don't know, their job per se. So
they did have a Q&A in the last one.
Yeah, no, the last one was pretty good. They opened up, or they cleared up a lot of questions for engineering, which was really good. And they did bring up, I think it was Payne's analogy of the car, the everyday car, kind of alluding to that being like your ship in game, as to the normal person not really being the engineer for your car or fixing your car. You would take it someplace. I thought that was really cool. He hit the nail right on the head about that. So that was good. So I'm glad they acknowledged that. And they're like, okay, so engineering is actually something that you don't have to do if you don't want to do it. You can just take your ship out and, use it. And if you want to, you can just take it to some place to fix it, So
right.
And it adds a cost to having a big ship. So
yeah,
it isn't just big ship win.
Takes a game dev to know a game dev. You got that right, Mike.
As a game dev.
This mission,
My bad.
happens, but it wouldn't happen on the other one, even though they're functionally doing the same thing.
Everything was built in a different way, and so everything also needed to be fixed individually.
It was a lot of reworking and redoing and over again, and eventually that could not be scaled up anymore.
In a game like Star Citizen, where we really want to populate the entire universe with missions, we can't really do that. We have to come up with a different solution.
We don't need all these people working on all these things all over the place if we can have more of a unified approach towards it.
That's where mission budgets come in.
I like it.
He said the word right there.
So the answer to this, to fix all of those issues, is a more modular system. This is where we identify key functionality between missions and plug them all together and make it all operate under one module. This means that when we get a bug, it is likely that every other mission will experience this bug and we can fix it. So we have...
There you go. That's some good shit right there, isn't it?
He said it. He said the words right there. So they're on it, and they know that that was the problem all along.
The fact that streamlines, I mean, of course, if you're doing all the missions underneath one module, it streamlines all the bugs. So if anything happens, that's the easiest way to fix it,
And they can see it. They can see it, and they say, "Oh, there's the issue right there," and they fix it. So,
yeah.
Have modules and submodules, and there is no end to that. You can keep putting them inside of each other. But on the high level, we have what are called wrapper modules. So some of the different wrapper modules are like delivery missions.
Your typical delivery mission is pick up a box and then deliver the box in another location, which has certain variations.
So we have ones that are called multi-stop, which are essentially here's 5 boxes, here's the pickup locations, and here's all the drop-off locations. The player can decide
Joe.
what order they want. There are
In 318, they now have 5 box deliveries.
I've heard. Yes.
And I did one. And it took me from one side to another to another to another.
Mhm.
And I had to complete it with in a certain amount of time, and I ran into an issue with NPCs. One of the guys that I shared it with did the other missions, right? Did the other deliveries while I was handling that one specific problem.
Okay.
So you can share that out, and it does get completed. You just gotta have you can have multiple people doing it, and it works.
How much does the 5 box one pay?
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
It doesn't pay a whole lot.
Well,
12,000.
beginning, right? But I'm assuming as you I'm curious to see like what's the maximum you can make, as you work your way up.
Oh, I don't know. But once you do that initial mission, you can go to the three delivery boxes, and then it goes up.
Okay.
So
I think there was a delivery in 317 that was like 45,000, but that took you to a bunker to pick up a package at a bunker where you weren't welcome.
Yeah,
okay.
that's been there for a while. But
Yeah.
this one, when I did it, I had one that I had to go to to an outpost to pick up, and I was encountered by NPCs. So it escalates as you go along. So it does get better, and it doesn't pay as much. It should pay a whole lot more because you're in combat. But when you're hitting the NPCs and taking them down, you're getting your 500 AUEC if you got call to arms running. So it does pay in a way. Not as much as it should, I think. But I'm good. I just had to say that.
Well, I did one a couple days ago, and the box wouldn't stay in my hands. It always rubber band all the way back to its last location. So I couldn't keep it on my ship, so I gave up on that one. But
yeah, I had to do it to me too, and then I went back and got it, and it persisted, so I was able to go on.
That's because I used too much lotion.
I'm good.
All right.
I'm sorry. I just had to say that right
No,
there.
you good. You good. All right, we're going to go ahead and play it.
The linear wrapper module, which is we give you one box and you have to deliver that before we then give you the next box.
Infiltrate and Defend has like various subtypes and different variations that we can use depending on what the mission wants to achieve.
You've got eliminate all missions, or you've got eliminate specific missions, or even an eliminate boss mission where players must neutralize the grunts first, and then afterwards, a boss shows up, and that's the eliminate target.
And those are all the submodules of the Infiltrate and Defend type, and we're still making more. Then there's the bounty hunting modules.
Our bounty missions are quite well known. The most basic version is you accept a contract, it tells you where the bounty is, you travel there and you take it out, which then can be modified in like several variations.
It consists of the synced assassinations. It's the group bounties where you have 3 different bounties at different locations you have to get to and kill. It's the Idris event where you have to go and kill an Idris with potentially multiple people you don't know. And when the ability to capture people comes online, we'll add even more modules to help support this.
So what we're working on now is resource collection missions. That includes salvage and mining missions.
We're even going to be adding classic things like someone wants 40 pieces of wheat and you have to go and find that and bring that back to them. All of these things we're looking into, investigating, hopefully you'll see soon. No, Reddit, that's just an example. We're not actually going to collect wheat.
Why doesn't he tease something more practical then? Because that made everybody...
That was my exact thought too. I'm not gonna lie. Like, he was like, "Why?"
There's so many things that's already in game that he could have just like gave as an example, but he had to pick wheat. I think it's almost like he did that on purpose to mess with people. But
Yeah.
I think he wanted to see kind of like what people would say on Reddit. But yeah, that was kind of funny. But yeah, I guess farming isn't confirmed, guys. Sorry.
I'm good.
So let's dive deeper into submodules, and let's use one that looks relatively simple, the delivery module. The delivery module uses a wrapper called the multi-stop delivery. So when that fires, that starts something called the initialized delivery loop. The initialized delivery loop reads parameters that designers give us, say how many boxes they want to be delivered. For this example, let's say 3. So those 3 boxes would start 3 individual round deliveries. Now a round delivery will care and track the progress of a singular box and its journey from point A to point B. So then after that round delivery has booted up and it has all the information, that then goes, right, now I need to start the first part of it, which is the pickup part. So it starts the pick up or drop off module, which then will check what has the designer specified to me. Does the designer care where this is spawned? Do they want it a locker? Do they want it as an item pod? If they don't, it will choose randomly. So let's say they go, okay, I want it to be picked up from a item pod, which is essentially what you know as a shelf. The item is spawned on a shelf and it sits there waiting. When the player interacts with the item and picks it up, it sends a callback back to the pickup or drop off.
Hang on a second. Let's pause for a second, Joe.
Yeah.
You're muted.
Oh yeah.
This is pretty simple. I wish they had gone with a little bit more complicated one. For example, let's say they gave later example of a salvage mission where there could be an illegal salvage mission and a legal salvage mission that would be given to 2 sets of players, right? And they would interact. Well, the question becomes, okay, does the legal one get created first? Does the criminal one get created first? Do they create at the same time? What happens if one doesn't get picked up? What happens if one of them doesn't get picked? Does it matter? Does it change it? Like, does the legal one have a payout, a more greater payout, more security? If a criminal one does get picked up, I mean, it makes sense. The concept of like creating a mission, creating the delivery loop, and inside of that, almost an if-then loop, you have 3 more individual loops, right, inside of it that they're all checking. But that doesn't tell us exactly how that's going to be treated on more complex missions. Like, for example, we had a few ISCs ago where they had talked about the Korea event, the Korea security outpost, right? They said it wasn't a Korea. The mission wasn't called the Korea mission. It was called Defend Location Mission or Mission Under Attack Mission.
Yeah,
right?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Right. How does that fit in with this system? How does it plug into other missions that could be plugging in? Just as an example, I really wish they would have given an example of one of the newer missions so we can understand the new work that's been created and not a simple delivery mission of if it's there, if it's not there, closed loop.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But see, again, they probably didn't want to get hung up on this specific part because they're already. I mean, obviously, Elliot is kind of dragging it out for them on the show, and they want to get to the newer missions that they're making. But because I mean, they only got 20 minutes to fit this in. This is one of those things where it'd be good to talk about live, and bring up what you were saying. Yeah, I just want to say how much I appreciate Elliot though, because he's always extremely excited and he interacts with everybody, and he's always up there front and center, he's almost like Chris Roberts, so he'll go up there and talk for hours about something.
But I've seen him jump in on Twitch streams.
Yeah, he jumps in with
other
Salty Mike all the time, and yeah.
So
No, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
He and I mean, just hearing him talk about all this stuff, and just, I mean, he's clearly extremely knowledgeable, and it's I mean, when he shares information like this, and he's constantly involved with you know, being up front and talking and stuff, and being up there with streamers, it's kind of comforting. It's like, okay, cool. So like, at least the missions are in good hands, you know?
Right. I'm good.
Drop off goes, my job's complete, let me tell the round delivery. The round delivery then goes, okay, thank you for that information. I can now start the drop off process because the box that I had been told to pick up has been picked up. It will then say, I'm going to boot the pick up or drop off again, but this time it will specify the drop off process. Once again, taking into account anything that the designer specified if they want it dropped off in a locker or at a shelving unit again. Say this time it's a locker, then what happens is it will boot up a completely different module of the delivery locker. Then that will send the request to the delivery locker and say, hey, delivery locker, you're going to expect X item from X person. The delivery locker then waits. When you put it in the delivery locker will verify that the item is the one that was actually asked for you to be delivered, and then it will once again send an event back up to the pickup or drop off going, hey, I've got the right item. That'll go, cool, thank you. Send that up to the round delivery. The round delivery will go, well, that's my box gone. I've finished. I'm going to send this up to the initialized delivery loop. The initialized delivery loop goes, that's 1 out of 3 now delivered. It will then repeat this process for the other 2 boxes that can be done in any order. Then when that completes all over together, the initialized delivery loop will go, cool, all of my things have been finished. I'm going to send it up to the multi-stop. The multi-stop will then go, that's my mission over. Complete, you get your money. And it's as simple as that. The reason we set this up like this is because it allows us to quickly plug pieces in. For example, the prison mission had to expand on the delivery system to allow you to pick up from a corpse and drop off to a satellite as a sort of upload function. What this means is we didn't have to create another delivery module to do that specific process. We created 2.
You know what? I'll say this though. Them kind of making this into
They did him dirty.
I was going to say, they kind of did to him dirty, because I'm actually interested in what he's saying, but I can't pay attention to what he's saying or like absorb what he's saying, because they keep they keep going to all these other camera angles and making it into a skit. So it was really funny. I liked it, but I actually like want to hear what he's saying.
It was like
delivery lockers.
The first,
I want to hit them with a hammer.
I am right there with you there, Melon Pan.
The first time I watched this, quote unquote, watched this, I was listening to it. I did not realize this was going on, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Watching it now with all the skits going on, Joe, you're absolutely right. It is annoying.
Yeah,
it is.
Like they. What I would like to see is them do this presentation again on the long form video on Friday.
Yeah,
and give this guy a whiteboard. Give this guy some kind of like graphics.
Oh, great! Here's
some display. Give him a screen.
It'll be the Elliot
right?
meme. Yeah.
So, hey, say what you will. I enjoyed that graphics that Jared made. That made a lot of sense to me.
I think most people out there.
Yeah.
That helped. It did. I mean, hey, there's gonna be a meme made out of everything.
When he did the breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it.
That was one of my favorite ones. I'm not even unironically, that was one of my favorite ones that they done, because I actually got a peek behind the curtain on that day.
Yeah.
That Jared gave me, and that was amazing. And that's why I was like, I want him to get that chance. I want that developer to get a chance to say, hey, we're gonna give a little small presentation. Let's get a peek behind the hood.
Yeah, Vortec, it's going to Evocati first before it comes out to us. That's
yeah, okay. We were Shadow was reading that off earlier. Yeah, man. I think when it comes to these shows and CIG kind of limiting like how much they say, I think it's almost like it's easy for them to kind of run out of things to talk about if they just let them kind of keep going. So I feel like, having them stop at a certain point, I mean, obviously with every single one of these ISCs, there's for every every question that they answer, there's always more questions that come along with it than answers. So it gives them more to talk about in the future when it comes closer, because right now he's just talking generally about how the missions work, but when these missions are actually ready to be put out there, that gives them a chance to have a whole ISC about it. So yeah.
Well, it's not just that. Like they could go in more depth about how the missions are plugged in together. Like he says, they're plugged in together. Okay, cool. How? When?
Yeah.
When does when, like, for example, just using their example, a box, pick a box. Great, a box is being picked up. When does it decide where? If the developer doesn't pick where the box needs to go, when does the game decide where it needs to go? Does it interact with other players and current missions on the map? Does it try to avoid putting you and your delivery box location in the same or similar location as another player's? Does it actively make it where they would prefer you to go to the same location?
And this has happened to me many a time, where I'll trigger off something, right? And somebody's there. They killed everybody that I was supposed to go and, eliminate, right? Because they were in the bunker and they were looting. And when I got there, it was done. I got paid, but, I didn't get to interact with it. So, what can I say?
Well, that's that big of a deal. I mean, that's not that big of a deal, especially when the bunkers get bigger, thicker, when they become the underground facilities, not just bunkers, right? And when you can have potentially multiple at the same location. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
No.
What I'm more concerned with, okay, what is their intentions? What are they looking to create player interaction? Or are they looking to discourage player interaction on certain missions, right? What just their thought process behind what they're making is kind of what I was wondering about.
Yeah. No, those are really good questions that I would like them to talk about too, but hopefully they will here at some point.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying though. It does trigger when you trigger something and somebody's there already,
Yeah.
They interact with it. Like, there's times when I've gone down to Bezdek to do a cargo run and somebody triggers off a bounty. I end up killing it, right? Because I'm getting attacked.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting type of thing. It just happens.
It's a small world, I think that'd be an interesting thing if it wasn't so common. It'd be like, oh wow, that's actually kind of cool, because that doesn't usually happen, because we're in space, where Pyro's there's Nyx, or however many star systems. So where, when those come out, it's going to be a more of a rarer occurrence. Maybe not around Stanton, but yeah,
probably. But that was
as bunkers expand. As bunkers expand, as they get bigger, as like your assassination mission would be really, really deep in a bunker in a certain room, a bunker having a raid in another room somewhere else, you may not know that's happening, right? And with these underground facilities being massive and maybe having traffic coming and going, you may not be able to tell that there's something going on in another room on the other side of the bunker.
Yeah,
right.
How big?
So
with them, make them, yeah.
Yeah, with them becoming more common, larger, and more spread out, especially with derelict outposts being a thing, like that's going to become less common. It was common because we had a lot of people on the server, right, and very few bunkers, right. That's just the nature of the beast. And I think partially that 14-minute timer that we're facing right now, when you finish a bunker and it says you're 14 minutes like you're trespassing, I'd be willing to bet that 14 minutes was there, and that 14 minutes was there. They're saying, don't spawn a mission there for 14 minutes. Surely they're going to loot and get out within 14 minutes, right? Now, it's instead of it being a guess, it's very implicit. Get out or you're trespassing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good.
Ending modules of pick up corpse and upload data. Those live at the end, so after the pick up or drop off has run its course, it would just pick those two, which means we don't have to add specific functionality to the entire module all over. It only has to be at the end.
Stop right there, Joe, for a sec. Disclaimer.
Disclaimer, what Elliot has presented here is an overly simplified version of the modular system for delivery missions. Presented in a single, uninterrupted, unrehearsed take, he clearly left a bunch of stuff out, so the system should not be considered as simplistic as presented here.
Okay.
That's kind of what we was going into earlier. It's like I would like to have seen more of how missions plugged in together. Like, for example, he showed a single mission. Okay. How do multiple missions plug together with that level of detail? They go into it later, but
Yeah, we might get an episode about that at some point.
Right. I'm good.
So I guess you really want to hear about some of the new stuff. So let's talk about salvage modules. The salvage module is currently a singular module, and what we have done is allowed for a bunch of functionality.
The most simple version is you get the contract in your Moby.
I'll pause that for people to look at here, because this is kind of interesting.
There it is, too.
Do y'all recognize the name?
The name?
Adigo? Yeah, from Adigo.
Oh, Adagio.
The contract giver.
Adagio writes. So
Adagio?
I think that's how I would say it. Adagio. Adagio writes division.
I don't recognize the name.
They did. I remember them saying the name when they were talking about the new salvage rights missions a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, something like that, when they first announced that we were going to have salvage rights.
And then they said something about black tar or something like that.
The
illegal side.
That was going to be the illegal side. Yeah. I can't remember if that was. They were going to be called the tar pits.
Yeah.
And was that salvage? I can't remember if that was salvage or mining.
It was salvage.
So okay.
The tar pits was the illegal salvage part.
Yeah. Okay. So it says, rights to a new salvage claim are available for purchase. Exclusive access to the ship's verified coordinates in monitored space will be provided upon confirmed credit transfer. The coordinates will remain accessible as long as the accepted contract is active. So you're going to have to pay for the rights to be able to get in there. But,
notice they didn't how much it costs to pay for it right here.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't put much, though. I mean, there's not like a... There's supposed to be like a claim number, and I'm sure even the job title isn't really there, but yeah. But this is in you can see Crew L1, so Crusader. So this is going to be maybe a division that operates within Crusader. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, the lore was always that wreckages were dragged, ferried to the Lagrange points where they could be quasi-stable there.
Oh, is that what it was?
To be, yes, I would. That's why everything spawned there, because that's where they intended to spawn them. Lagrange points are a quasi-stable spot in the middle of space.
Yeah.
Away from planets, away from everything, where things would naturally collect and gather. And basically, they're going to take advantage of that stable, quasi-stable location to put things away from planets where it would potentially cause harm if it fell, per se. And one thing I hope they do, I hope they create, whenever the SRV comes out, a mission of they could set up a system where you find a wreckage and you take a wreckage to the Lagrange point
Mm-hmm.
for these missions to spawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. I'm good, Joe. Whenever you're ready.
Glass given by a company that has salvage rights. You accept mission in a Moby Glass, and then it's going to give you a piece of salvage, and it says, well, we have a piece of salvage for you, and it's located at this Lagrange point.
The player is shown a location where a shipwreck can be found. So they make their way there, and it could be that another NPC is there salvaging already. Or you could have an illegal variant of the mission where you have to go there and salvage everything quickly.
Oh, that was a little quick, wasn't it?
Yeah, back up for a sec.
It's interesting because I think I was wrong. They didn't have the price there because that was the mission as it was already picked up, so he would have already paid for it.
There we go.
That was under the accepted tab. So
Yep. Tar pits.
Yep.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
There's tar pits.
We got our eye on a ship that's ripe for salvaging. We are too busy to snag it ourselves, so why not spread the wealth, right? If you send us some credits, we'll send you the ship's location. Don't take too long to think it over, though. We've probably got about timer minutes until security gets
Placeholder
to check out the wreck. Could be more, could be less. Man, so this might be a gamble, you know? Like, depending on how much you got to pay these guys, I would assume you got to pay a little bit more.
But it will be cheap to buy,
right?
I'd be willing to bet.
Yeah, it says, if you're fast enough to get it in, get your hull and get out without a shot fired. Not a bad deal, right? Could be a bad deal. And then it says, salvage ship at the asteroids surrounding Yella before security arrives. Okay, so that'll be probably close by Grim Hex.
At the asteroids surrounding Yella? That's not a Lagrange point.
No, but this is near
Interesting.
Grim Hex. So these are probably going to be, I mean, honestly, because even the one that was legal, it said that under ship story, it was saying how it was like an accident, right? It was telling you how it happened. So I don't know. These, I guess these are salvage claims that haven't really been moved. You know, no one's moved them yet to a Lagrange point. Like, I would assume that this one maybe just happened, you know, they got word of it. So, yeah, because you got to get there before the, you know, security gets there, essentially, or any other bad guys. Because I remember them saying, too, that this kind of mission would be open for, I think, everybody or something like that. I know they said that they were going to have some sort of salvage mission that was going to be open to everybody, and you kind of had to beat people there.
It can't be open to everybody because it has the share option.
Well,
that's why I was saying it might not be this one, but I know they were talking about one being open, and it might have even been one of the mining missions.
Well,
gotcha.
Making it a free for all. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Salvage everything quickly before another player that has the contract legally shows up.
Oh, there you go.
Timer.
That okay. They literally just clarified it. So if someone has the legal mission, so your illegal side will be this lead you to the same wreck as the legal one. Right?
Yeah.
So okay, that's what I was referring to. I wasn't entirely sure.
Yeah. So basically, there's going to be it sounds like a single mission given to a single person from the legal side.
Yeah.
And a single mission given to the single person from the illegal side.
Fucking, we're about to get a vulture fight.
Of whenever the legal owner of
Excuse me, sir.
Player, which can end up in, enemies arriving because he calls them in. We've made several.
I you know, when I see two vultures fighting like that, I always get a picture of like two middle schoolers that don't know how to fight, like fighting each other. Like, get out of here! Don't call me fat.
Right?
Submodules that
like, excuse me, good sir, what are you doing here?
Spawn ship waves, so it's going to be a wave-based module that allows the designer to define what the waves are like exactly, and then they show up. And another module that we've been making that we're actually quite proud of is a chicken ship module, and that's a ship that shows up and then is either going to attack you or try to run away. And if you scare it off by either damaging it or taking too long, it's going to try and jump away. And if it does so, then it allows the designer to define what's going to happen then. So the most basic version would be he's going to call in his friends. They come in, and then all of a sudden it's not you and a vulture against another vulture. It's going to be you against a retaliator bomber and 4 arrows.
See, that's really interesting right there. That's some really good variety right there in the mission.
Yeah.
Talking about NPCs getting their friends,
Yeah.
you know? Like, essentially, the mission will call on to reinforcements if you destroy the vulture, you know, before he gets away. I think that's amazing. That's exactly what I would want in a mission. That's fun.
Agreed. That's a great base for great missions, especially when you build the PvE in and the PvE versions of it, or we have the legal versions and the illegal versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the complexity there, like that very much simulates a player interaction mission, right? I mean, how many times have I been fighting over, well, wreckage that we caused? I'll put it that way. We blew up someone's ship, and we was trying to recover the SCU boxes that fell to the planet, and we ended up having to defend the location while we're searching for the SCU boxes. That was a very, very fun night, and this is quasi simulating that with salvaging and NPCs.
Yeah, it's giving you it's giving these missions a chance to be a little bit different every time you play them, which is amazing.
And you're in trouble. Now, the other option is like, okay, if you destroy it, then what happens? So we have the option of like a Carrick arrives because the company is like, well, we haven't heard from Bob in an hour. We're going to send like someone else to do the salvage, but maybe something happened to him. We're going to send something bigger. Or you basically warded off the defenders and you're now safe to salvage at your own leisure.
This kind of modular approach will allow other designers to come up with whatever they want when it comes to building missions. There could be a number of possibilities. It is only limited by their imagination. All of these sort of modifiers and options are there to sort of allow us to create different types of gameplay or different experiences with very little changing of the logic. It's a lot of just changing different properties on what's called a mission record.
Another mission module that we're working on that hasn't been revealed yet is package extraction. So it's a mission where the Ninetales have taken over another Crusader platform, and they have gotten their hands on some highly valuable Crusader prototype ship components. So Crusader really wants them back before they fall into the wrong hands. And as a result, they put out a contract, and many players all around Crusader are tasked with going to that platform and handing it to the Ninetales, essentially getting back the prototype ship components before they can be flown off-world.
One thing we've been playing with is that we hooked it up to the bounty modules that already exist. So we would fire a bounty module where
that one's the all-player mission right there.
And then we kick off a salvage.
What was that?
That one is the all-player mission, like all the system-wide mission.
Yeah,
for everybody.
Yeah.
That's just another iteration on Siege of Orison.
Or the defend crane or the defend location module.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, retake or repel.
Yeah.
Defend location module. Instead of it doing that, now it's a claim object module.
Yeah, and I think it's I can't be happier that we're finally getting variations in missions, and we're actually going to start getting them super fast. So this is great. And like he said on there, that you don't have to change any of the logic or anything like that. You just literally just plug and play, boom, boom, boom. With a bunch of different mission characteristics.
Yeah, it becomes a tool that developers use to be creative with.
Yeah.
We're going to get some drink. Be right back.
All right. I think if they this is never gonna happen, but for if they could make a kind of like what they're doing with Rastar, but with missions, like the mission module, but make it more streamlined, right, and not as crazy as their tool that they're using, and be able to use it within like like Arena Commander or like Star Marine, but have it where like it's like org controlled, where you get you invite all your friends in from your org, and then
I honestly don't follow. What do you mean? What do you mean Rastar?
Okay, so what I mean is, you know how they're making like Rastar, they're making, I can't talk. They're making Rastar for both them and us, right? So eventually it's going to be in our hands. We're going to be able to use it to make our own homesteads and stuff.
Okay.
They could do something like that with like the mission modules to give us something to train your orgs. Like come up with your own basics, like mission basics within like Arena Commander or like Star Marine, and let your org kind of like, hey, okay, you know, we're going to use this to plug and play some stuff, make our own missions.
Create
like,
our own?
It'll be like our own like training simulation.
Which is a good idea.
I guess you wouldn't really need that though.
No, but
I mean, in theory, you could make a situation where even outside of Arena Commander, you could say, my 890 was jumped, it was stolen. I'm going to create a mission, a player, in theory, anyways. And they haven't said anything about this, so this is just me spitballing here. In theory, that tool could be used by a player in a very similar to the way that Joe said about Rastar, to create a mission to recover their ship.
Well, mission builders have been in games for a while, and I think that's a cool idea.
I don't know if they're going to do it or not, but that would be good.
No, they're not going to do it. I don't
If they
think
did
they would.
it would be slick, but hey, it's the idea.
I mean, we are allowed to make missions of pickups and medical missions and other stuff.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Module all in one mission. So the player goes there, kills the ship, and then instantly their objectives are like, and now harvest it. And then that's the completion of the mission. So at the moment, mining missions are on pause while we wait for resources from other teams. But in the meantime, we will continue to develop salvage missions, mining missions, and the overall scope of resource collection missions. So, you know, you could hopefully see your wildest imagination of resource collecting missions come true. A reasonable expectation of resource collection missions in the future.
No, that was natural.
Back it up.
That was not staged. That was
No.
Jared was angry when he said that. Oh my god. I'm not gonna back it up, but yeah, that was funny.
My favorite part of the whole thing is he was sitting there giving his spill, and he did not even flinch.
Yeah, he really meant it when he said it, and Jared was just like, "No, dude, can't say it."
So the biggest virtue of this is it allows other designers like Guillaume from Montreal or Sam from the EU locations team to go in and be able to piece together their own custom mission.
We just send them, once a mission module is finished, all the questions that they need to fill in for this.
Their designer can go to Dave Fudge, select a mission, modify a few properties that will change the behavior of the mission, whether it's the type of box they're delivering or what enemy they want you to kill. All of these modules are intended
That was cool.
You want me to go back and take a look at it again?
Not now. But that's definitely I'm going to do that stuff later. But
yeah, I definitely missed that one little bit there where you actually get a look at that tool.
Yeah. You can use all the parameters, and you can tell because I didn't like black down or fuzz down.
Yeah.
That shows that they're confident about that tool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they'd be using it right now if they weren't confident in it.
Easy ways to be able to create completely new bits of content so that the content expansion can be huge.
And this is really important for when you try to build a game of the scale of Star Citizen.
They could build a mission where you go to a location to do an eliminate all, and as you're arriving there's a bounty target in the sky you have to take out first. As you go in and manage to kill them all, they use the item dispenser we use in Jumptown and Korea to spawn an item that when the player picks it up, it then starts a delivery mission.
That's the real win of thinking modularly. So that was a little look behind the scenes of what we do in the mission feature team.
The mission feature team consists of more than just the people you see here. We have a much bigger team that are building these behind the scenes to be able to bring you this new content, these new functionalities, and also help our designers internally to be able to also deliver the same thing.
This is only a fraction of things we have worked on and are working on. Obviously, as more systems come online, we are going to start making more and more modules. Salvage and mining were the most recent ones, and we've worked on those. Crafting is coming soon, so we're going to probably make some modules with that.
We're going to continue to make more and more mission modules and more things for you to play and enjoy.
Thank you very much for letting us tell you what we do. We're hopefully making everything you like, and yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Inside Star Citizen.
You won't see. I'm not in the next episode.
I'm not in the next episode.
You just said you were. So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that modularity is what allows for the work of one mission to be carried over and utilized in a variety of others. That it allows for the relatively quick construction and iteration of missions by designers from all over the globe. That it is ultimately what is allowing us to currently add gameplay quickly and efficiently to new locations like the underground facilities, building interiors, and even the upcoming pyro system. And that new modules are being created along the way, like the salvage and mining parts of resource collection, as well as the investigations we've discussed previously. And just to touch on Alpha 318 once more, the team continues to tackle the troubles that have plagued launch since Friday, and you'll find continuing updates as needed at the robertsspaceindustries.com website. Now, stability has been steadily returning all week, with more and more people being able to connect in and stay in for longer durations after that. And there's been a number of absolutely critical fixes that only became known and necessary thanks to you all showing up and stressing the ever-loving hell out of the new Entity Streaming Foundation for the Persistent Universe in ways that, frankly, we never could on the PTU. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to all the developers who never appear on camera because, frankly, they're just too busy. It's been a frustrating week for everybody, but I'm also really proud to stand here and represent those who are working so hard to do right by the community and this project.
All right. That was it.
But
They
I'm
said
glad you
crafting
said
at the
that.
end. They said
Yeah.
crafting missions.
But I'm very glad that Jared said that at the end of the episode.
Yes. Me too.
I mean, at the beginning, yeah, he said that, but even closing out, he's saying that we are working on it. We are doing what we can. And, we're putting our best effort forward. So
I would like to point out one thing.
shoot.
Because he said crafting missions, that means crafting is going to be a money-making venture.
Yes.
It is either, at the very minimum, it's going to be that, or it's going to be a mission that a player can create for their org because we need so many of XYZ items.
Yeah.
That maybe can only be done by crafting.
That would make
the
sense.
fact that they're working that into a mission system tells me that, and that's super exciting.
Well, with mining, there's new resources. So, that makes sense to have the crafting involved. Where you're going to be sent out on a mining mission to gather a certain mineral or whatever to complete the crafting mission. So they're tying it in. I'm guessing at this point, but
Dude,
that's what it sounds like.
It can involve a lot.
I wonder what you can make with 40 bushels of wheat.
Really, Zook?
Depends on what system you're in. Probably in Pyro a lot.
Yeah.
This is
Need
drinking a
food.
whole hut house.
But I enjoyed this ISC more than the Journey to 4.0 to me. I enjoyed this one more.
The engineering one.
I enjoyed that one, but this one was more. It's coming sooner than the 4.0
engineering.
one.
Yeah, whenever you're looking at the Journey to 4.0, it's like, who the fuck knows? Like, yeah, they're working on it, but I mean, not like any of that stuff is not likely to be this year, I think.
Also, that's just not. No offense, Jonathan. That's just not your cup of tea. Like some people are. Like, there's people in my org that they don't care about these missions. They don't care about that. They care about like
Oh yeah,
building and maintaining a ship and like, hey, I want you to be my engineer on a big capital ship type of thing.
Yeah.
And they're all about that life. So that's just not it. That's just not for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, I look at it like this: when that comes around towards me, I'm going to take advantage of those because I want to have that skill. You know what I'm saying? And then,
Yeah, I understand.
And then when we get to that point, you know, I will venture out, do them, and be able to say, okay, if somebody goes down in my ship, right, I can go and do that until they're, you know, taken care of in the med bay, right? So you know what I'm saying. Being all around skill for a ship's captain in certain aspects is a good thing. That's what I'm taking. That's what I'm taking from it. So,
well, I'm just saying like that. I'm just saying that that's probably not something that really excites you because that's not what you're like. That's what you're not what your main skill set. It's not the main gameplay you're looking for.
Exactly.
This right here is much more in line with the main gameplay that you've talked about over and over and over again in previous videos we've done. This is much more in your wheelhouse, if you will.
Yeah.
And I don't blame you. Honestly, engineering is probably more my wheelhouse. You know, more so than the missions piece
too.
because mainly because it's so vague, and I enjoy working with the ship. But at the same time, like I don't know, I like the detail that we got in engineering. I wish they was able to be more detailed in this video.
Yeah.
But they probably can't because mining missions are, up in the air right now. Clearly, the early PvP missions are up in the air right now. There's probably a lot of things that are still being determined. So this was a lot more vague.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So Shadow, what do you see yourself doing when the game is released, right? What is what you're gonna spend most of your time doing in the game? Is it hauling or mining?
Well, I'm the transport pilot and the cargo hauler. And
okay,
when the game does go live and it's released, okay, soon TM, I'm going to be doing
what a pipe dream.
Yeah, right. I'm going to be doing multiple things, but I'm going to have a primary and a secondary. And my secondary is going to be a fighter escort pilot. That's my secondary.
Oh, okay.
And then my third, because I know I'm going to have these types of skills, is going to be able to work on my ships. So that I do have a first, second, and third. And my fourth would be combat ground. So, yeah. That's what I see. And that's what I know I have in my head. So,
okay. Yeah, mine's definitely going to be engineering and base building for sure. I don't know what it would be after that, but I'll try everything, and who knows, maybe I'll find something a little bit funner than those two. But all depends on what the finished product is going to be. But
Right.
Space Mechanic Simulator 2023.
Yeah, I like
Maybe
that
not
little bit.
2020, not 2023, but like 2028. But yeah,
No,
I mean,
I mean, for me, my gameplay ultimately is going to be one of planning. I could, and it doesn't sound like gameplay, but something that I sort of like really enjoyed. I sort of accidentally fell into and really enjoyed during the early jump towns was making dossiers, planning out a mission, planning out tools with other people, and handing off a mission to somebody and says, let's go do it. And usually I was also the one leading up that mission.
yeah,
But in a large org like my group, Free People Diverse, we're planning to go from place to place to place to place wherever we can go to make money. We're not going to have a traditional home in that regard. And what I want to be gameplay wise is planning out where our group can make money and planning out the logistics of getting all of us together and all of our ships and all of our people excuse me, and transporting these locations and then planning out and executing those ways of making a buck. Even if, say, I don't participate in said mission, even if I'm offline for said mission, even the act of planning these things for other people and enabling gameplay for other people and making their lives easier to make money is just really fun for me. Like for example,
that's a very noble cause there too. That is
what do you think?
People like you are going to be very important for sure.
Well, I just enjoy it. It's not a matter of like, thank you, by the way, but like I just really enjoy that kind of gameplay. Like for example, the drug running thing.
Yeah,
we talked about at the beginning of where I made this money during these drug runnings. If my org would have just not taken money, I would have had 5-6 million. Other people in my org have gotten the benefit of being an escort fighter for me. Yeah. Whenever I hop online and I say I need an escort fighter, somebody always says I'm there, even if they're new, even if they're not even a member of my org, if they're a contractor, because we make sure they get paid well and they get treated well, right. And they get gameplay.
That right? is the most important thing. I'm just gonna say this, okay?
Yeah,
yeah. I'm just gonna say it because.
Where's the shot? Hang on.
yeah. But I mean, you gotta pay people that are helping you. If you don't pay them, they're not. It's their time, You gotta compensate them for what they do, and that's an important thing in multiplayer gameplay in this game.
Things are going to happen, especially now, where a bunch of people are going to want to get together, but no one's going to make any money because things happen, the game happens. And, it sucks leaving the game that day, be like, damn, I spent more money, getting everything ready to hopefully make more money only to be like negative, So, I think being in a position to be able to like at least pay your guys something that makes it worth it, in the end. Yeah. Despite
a lot of them were there for the experience. Like we want to fight someone. It's like great. The ideal situation is there's no one there to fight, right? Ultimately, if you're training making money, the ideal situation is there's no one.
That's the good thing. Is that's what you want.
But like for example, we were flying into Brio's Breaker Yard. And I had 2 fighter escorts with my ship, and they're just sitting there checking every ship, like which one is security, which one's NPCs, which one's players, are they hostile, are they active, going and investigating it. That's gameplay that it's going to be very hard to get a traditional mission. And I've only really had a handful of actual fights, but they'll sit there and they'll do this at the sell-off point. They'll fly back to the pickup point, and they'll do that again twice, and they've already earned, 80 to 100,000 apiece, right there.
Yeah.
Right. And that's enough for a lot of people to say, hey, that's worth it. Even if I'm going to be bored for 40 minutes, I'm sitting here, we're having a conversation, we're being friends, we're being, coworker, family. Oh, hang on.
You might be bored, but you get to kind of, have, you get to hang out with friends. And so you're relieving a lot of stress, having fun doing that. You can at least have a good conversation.
Yeah.
But
and
the whole
that's why
idea. I'm sorry.
And that's why our groups organize like a Banu Suli, where it's sort of a business/family.
Yeah.
Right. It's slow. The main job is done. You're checking the surroundings. Everything's safe. The slow, boring part of the job is here. So now we're conversating like we're family, catching up. Someone who's dating someone. What's going on in your life. I mean, the little moments like that. Plus, they're getting paid to do so. And, once I believe that's really hard to pass up, and it creates camaraderie.
Those are the best stories.
That's the gameplay I'm looking for. Yeah.
Where it feels like family, and you're gonna have a better time regardless. That's how you get through the bugs in the game.
Yeah.
Being in there with family.
Yeah.
But we are coming up on the hour and a half mark here, so I will let you guys, if you guys have any last things that you want to say, now's the chance. If anybody in the chat wants to ask any last minute questions here, go ahead. But other than that, do you guys have any last words before we kick it off?
I'm just excited for what they're gonna bring us on this one. I think it's going to be a good addition to what we have already. It's going to make it more enjoyable, and I'm just crossing my fingers, and we'll see when it hits.
Yeah,
that's it.
What about you, Zook?
I'm just looking forward to my LTI Aurora bomber.
Really? Really?
I knew you were gonna say something.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean,
oh good, Joe.
Like they said that some of these missions are going to be in 319, so that's exciting to see. I think it'll make a good variety for mining and salvage. So that'll be pretty cool to see. But with that, nobody in the chat really asked any questions, so we're gonna go ahead and call it. Oh, we got something.
You don't need already a size 11 torpedo.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Dark Harbinger would agree with that one right there.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely true right there. But everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging out with us. If you liked how this turned out, let us know. Your feedback is very much appreciated. We're still kind of in the phase of figuring out what kind of works for us, and figuring out the whole podcast thing. But yeah, let us know, guys, how you liked it. Whether you want us to change it up or not. Other than that, we will have another episode on Monday. I believe, what was that one about? Did you guys catch it for this weekend?
They did not say what it's about.
They
didn't say.
I think, no, I did. I think it was about tractor beams for 319.
Oh.
Specifically,
if they said that, that's cool. I'm not gonna lie, but
let me take a quick look here.
Yeah, I think it was the usability of tractor beams within 319.
Well, if that hits, that's getting close to the SRV.
SRV. They would have to come out and say something about the SRV there for that day. Or actually, it doesn't even have to be the SRV, because the Vulture has tractor beams on it.
Yes, it does.
So I could see them using that, because I don't know which. It might have been this ISC.
I did miss it. I'm sorry, guys. That's my fault.
There was a little screenshot of a Vulture actually using its tractor beams recently.
Get pulled into the world of tractor beams on Inside Star Citizen. Learn about the present status, future, and direction. And upcoming 319 editions linked to salvage and mining gameplay.
There we go.
Thursday.
There you go. So that should be pretty interesting. So we'll talk about that next Monday. Other than that, everybody, thanks again for joining us. Please like and subscribe. That helps us out. And you guys take care, all right? Have a good night.
Have a good night.